let's jump back to some of the feedback that you actually provided in your previous interview, which I think was over a year ago. And in one case, I think what resonated at least with me is that you had said that, all in all, it all starts with the customer, and then gravitates to the business side. And that resonated with me because I'm in marketing, and I know you've been a CMO before, but with marketing in the past 10 years, things have become digital. As companies that are in B2B who have maybe a SaaS-based model have been able to leverage the freemium scenario and help, create lead generation or low touch point sales initiative, implement gamification, which also came from the consumer side or came from their customers. Can you sort of expand on that concept and give us your perspective on that, and elaborate also on maybe there may be some good examples of what you see that are happening now?
Sure. So yes, I believe it all starts with the customer. And so when you think about digital and digital technology and how do you leverage it and how do you use it, right? Yes, you can use it in your business to improve operations and efficiency, effectiveness, knowledge, data. Right? Oh, absolutely. But frankly, one of the most powerful places to use it is to actually help you deliver better and higher and more consistent value to your customers. So that's why I say start with the customers and leverage technology to develop a better understanding of their wants, needs, satisfaction, to be able to provide a set of products and services and capabilities, right? That's easy for them to use, that adds the value, that wants them to use. So if you start with the customer first, then you can figure out, okay, so now what do I need to do on the back end, on the business model to support it, right? On the operational side to support it. And that's why I say start here. If you start here, then what happens is there are a lot of things you want to do for the customer, but you're not structured right. Either the data's in too many different places, right? Or you've already got inherent barriers to be able to provide the kinds of services and support, et cetera, that you want. And when I look at companies, I think of like Slack is a great example. I think Slack is extremely customer-centric. As a matter of fact, their product actually started not as a product at all, but as a tool for their own developers, and then realized that, hey, this is actually pretty valuable. Maybe we make this the product. But because it started that way, they listen, right? They provide it out there. Talk about freemium model and pay, right? You have all that as well, but they have a chance to listen, to figure out where the big value is. What's the next thing? What should they do? Constantly, right? Taking that information to improve the offering that they've got. That's the strongest position that you can be in, because when customers feel that you are truly meeting their needs, anticipating their needs, et cetera, they'll give you wiggle room when you have challenges, right? Or problems or what have you. And then you can build what you need on the back end to go support it.
It's interesting too. You said listen, and that's the key part of it. And technology companies, there's often a bit of a slippery slope too, because you do get, the innovators that are maybe in their respective labs coming up with the new and cool ways of developing things or doing things, but you have to get back and go and say, is this something that the customer actually wants?
If your product is your baby, then you're not really going to hear what the market is telling you. You're not going to be paying attention to the changes and the nuances, right? And where things are going, because you're too focused on your product. Fall in love with your market. And when you do that, by definition, you become customer-centric.
One of the other things that you had also mentioned previously was that there are two instances primarily where digital technology can impact your business. And the first is actually changing how you operate. And the second is how companies can change the value proposition that they provide to their customers.
I think the power has just gotten stronger. And if anything, COVID has just, sealed it. But yes, when I think of digital technology and how you leverage, it goes back to the point that I was making earlier about the focus on customers. There are different ways to think about leveraging technology. And a lot of companies spend time on improving their operations, the internal side of it, driving efficiency, cost savings, right, et cetera. And that's absolutely where there's lots of innovative opportunities. But actually, how you interface with your customer, how you provide transparency into, who knows, their own customer journey, right? Et cetera, can be extremely valuable to the marketplace. So thinking about how you use digital technology, digital transformation in two separate buckets allows you to prioritize what it is you do and where you spend money. This whole notion and focus is important because at this point, customers are going to go with what's easy. And we have a lot of people right now because of COVID that are using digital services that they never used before.
Speaking of this era in the wake of COVID-19, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of digital innovation come about, particularly in one segment that we're very heavily concentrating on at InfoStretch is the medical tech sector, healthcare. Do you think that there's a silver lining to any of this? Could a business emerge stronger following the crisis thanks to their use of digital technology?
Oh, the answer is absolutely. One of the things that happens in a crisis is, and Thomas Friedman actually talks about this but is the fact that trends tend to accelerate during a crisis. And if you think about it, it's exactly what's happening. We already had a trend of, some people working remotely, working from home, et cetera. Well, guess what? Now we have a huge population, right, that is doing it. If you were already investing in technology to help you better both manage your ops, but also interface with your customers, then you're able to take advantage of this right now. But if you weren't, then you can't. And a great example, I'll talk about Nordstrom because it's public information. But Nordstrom had the ability, because of technology investments they made prior, to actually sell online the inventory that was locked away in their stores. So stores are closed; people can't get into the stores, but they could still fulfill from the stores. A lot of retailers could not do that.
One of the most affected sectors is the brick and mortar retail space. And, for me, it's sad to see because I don't want that experience of going into a department store and just getting lost in the shopping experience to go away. You definitely cannot get that experience behind the screen.
So the customer journey was already, changing. And when I say journey, roll back 10 years, I wanted to buy something. I went to the store, I browsed, I looked at my options, et cetera. Well, pre-COVID, people were spending their time online, maybe on their phone, right? Looking and searching, et cetera. Some therefore then went to a store and because I want to actually feel it and touch it and want to look at my options, right? Some were happy to order it online, but some actually had it delivered at the store versus delivered home. I mean, there are all kinds of journey paths. And so the companies that will ultimately win are the companies that figure out how to optimize that multi-channel journey that allow me to do what I want to do, where I want to do it, because that may be different than where you want to do it. And does technology play a role? Yes. You can't do any of that without the right underlying data structures, technology, systems, right, et cetera. But my crystal ball, this is just Shellye speaking on Shellye, stores aren't going away. Now, will we have fewer of them? Sure. Will the role they play evolve? Absolutely.
Your forthcoming book, Unapologetically Ambitious. So you talk about creating success on your own terms. You talk about how it aims to be an inspiring blueprint for personal and professional success. I'm curious, in a world that right now is mostly driven by large conglomerates, large enterprises, can one person still make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. I believe that people have more power as an individual, when I say power, than they realize. And we just don't use it all. But right. Yes, I absolutely believe that an individual can make a difference. I was on, perfect example. So I've been personally very passionate about trying to help boards become more diverse. And so over the last 10 years, I've done a lot of things to try to help drive that. And I'm proud of a lot of the impact that I've made. Well, I got involved with a group that said, you know what, we ought to have a board challenge where we challenge the companies that don't have any African American or Black directors to at least get one. And we get companies that already have them to sign on as kind of say, yes, we champion this and we're going to encourage others, right, to do the same. So it's called the board challenge. Well, that wasn't like this entity on high that decided we need to have a board challenge, right? No, that was people coming together saying, hey, what can we do to help move the needle and create a dynamic here where people are encouraged and supported, right, to drive this. That was one person's initial idea. So yeah, everybody has power. It really is just a matter of figuring out how do you want to use it? Being intentional about it. Being intentional can help you achieve so much more than when you're actually not intentional about the steps that you're doing, the experience that you have, the opportunities that you take advantage of.
So Shellye, once again, thank you for coming back to DTV. Your feedback was very inspiring, and I look forward to getting my hands on Unapologetically Ambitious, which is now, I guess, available to pre-order on Amazon. So that's what I'm going to do next after this interview. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us on this episode of DTV.